Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. We're going to look today at paleontology and the Bible. Paleontology and the Bible, the study of fossils. And we're using as a discussion starter Creation versus Evolution by Dr. Arlo C. Mullenpaw. Grab this book wherever you can get it, maybe Pentecostal Publishing House. It is fantastic. To me, it's the best single starter for creation science I have ever seen. So one of the things he says, I think everybody kind of knows what fossils are, and so why don't fossils reveal the shapes of soft parts of the body? And so usually soft parts rot away and only the hard parts like teeth, bones, and shells are preserved. Now there's two things about that. First of all, like T-Rex, they've been finding dinosaur fossils with bone, flesh, membrane, this type on them, showing that dinosaur death was a very recent event. And so there's a whole deal about that, but they're finding them all around the world with flesh, bone, blood still on it, which they couldn't be much over 10,000 years of age with that to be the case. The second thing is we tend to draw the fleshy parts the way we want to draw the fleshy parts of fossils. And so this was really brought home in a recent Answers in Genesis video, that you can make a stegosaurus kind of look how you want it to look, even though I do know there's the image of one on a temple in Cambodia, which is pretty fascinating. But various things like T-Rexes and stuff, and I've even read some secular things like on Yahoo News recently that, we know the skeletal structures of these things, but we don't necessarily know what the fleshy part of that would look like. And it went into like human beings. If they found a human skeleton, nobody ever seen a human before, and it was another species that discovered it, on and so forth, that you could make humans look a few different ways. You'd have a general outline, of course, because of the skeleton, but then the fleshy parts you just don't know. And like eyeballs, you may have sockets in the skull and all that, but how would you know what they really look like? So, and then he's got a little thing, I really like this. Why is the fossil record an embarrassment to evolutionists? And the fossils, Dwayne Gish's great books, Say No and Still Say No. And so, if evolution were true, we should find fossils of transitional forms in long chains, I'll add. The fossil record, though, gives little evidence of gradual change. The fossil record, rather than being a record of transformation, is a record of mass destruction, death, and burial by water, which it contains sediments. Fossils of tribolites, sponges, brachiopods, worms, jellyfish, and other complex invertebrates are found in Cambrian rocks. The appearance of this great variety of complex creatures is so sudden that it's commonly referred to in geological literature as the Cambrian explosion. If single-celled creatures gave rise to a vast array of complex invertebrates, the record of the evolution would be found somewhere in the Precambrian rocks. The intermediates between single-celled organisms and complex invertebrates has not been found anywhere on Earth. So again, everything, the Cambrian explosion, everything's fully formed, fully filled. There's no chains, and there's no chains from the Cambrian explosion till now. Everything looks basically the same, just larger, and about 80% of the things are extinct as well. The fossil record also fails to produce transitional forms between the major invertebrate types, between invertebrates and vertebrates, and between the major fish classes. For example, if fish evolved into amphibia, then transitional forms should show a slow, gradual change from fins into the feet and legs of the amphibians. Not a transitional single form has been found showing an intermediate stage between the fin and the foot. Now, one of the things is, like, you can go to Wikipedia, see what's examples of contested transitional fossils, and that's still almost irrelevant, because you're not just looking for a transitional fossil, you're looking for transitional chains, the gradual development. Unless you come up with a theory like punctuated equilibrium, which says every 50,000 years ago, hopeful monsters of male and female pop out. So the ability of insects, birds, mammals, bats, and reptiles, the pterosaurs now extinct, to fly was supposed to have evolved at 4 separate times. Not a single transitional form is found in any series. What the fossil record shows is not an unbroken sequence of gradual changes as proposed by evolution, but rather gaps. These gaps in the fossil record are a real embarrassment to anybody that knows the theory of evolution. Charles Darwin, who authored the famous book, Origin of the Species, recognized the lack of fossil evidence for his theory, but thought it would be found. Since Darwin wrote, billions of fossils have been uncovered, but still no evidence from gradual change from simple to complex. And now, with irreducible complexity, with like electron microscopes and stuff, we now know the simplest form, or the smallest, I should say, are irreducibly complex. And then he has a deal in here about Archaeopteryx, and that's very good, and I've dealt with that elsewhere, so we won't go into that. One of the great arguments against evolution, I'll just read this last little bit, is that an animal could not have survived with only partially developed structures. Boy, that's right. Thus, the Archaeopteryx was 100% bird and not a reptile bird in transition. It's simply another extinct bird that had teeth. So next, God willing, we're going to get into the geologic column maybe, and that'll be our next video. Check out all our videos on this and various subjects on the Bible, salvation, the nature of God, how to live for Jesus. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.